Hello friends, welcome to the Soviet journey. In this video, I will tell you about the life of Joris Ivens, who is known for his internationalist identity in cinema and has made important contributions to the history of cinema. If you are interested in cinema and socialist history, I am sure you will watch this video with interest. There is an inseparable bond between the internationalist worldview, which advocates that all working people in the world should be in solidarity without distinguishing between nationality, race, language, etc., and the art made with this understanding. Dutch documentary producer and director Joris Ivens has taken his historical place among the most important representatives of this inseparable bond, both with his life and his works. Born in the Netherlands, Ivens participated in the international brigades in the Spanish Civil War and in the revolutions in Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam and China, and became one of the original names in this field, etched in memories as an internationalist film director. Let's take a look at the life story of Joris Ivens, nicknamed the Flying Dutchman, and his historical contributions. Born on November 18, 1898 as the child of a wealthy family, Joris Ivens began working in his father's photography shop at a young age. During this time, he became interested in film and completed his first film at the age of 13 under the direction of his father. Later, he enrolled in the economics department at college to continue his father's business. However, the Marxist doctrine he encountered during this period and his special interest in class struggle steered him away from the careerist path, and he began to conduct research on revolutionary art. The films The Bridge in 1928 and The Rain in 1929 brought him recognition in the field of cinema and made his voice heard. Both films received support from the Dutch Construction Workers Union. Thanks to his father's film production network, he collaborated with director friends like himself. Among these names were well-known names in the Netherlands, such as Helen van Dongen, John Fernhout, and internationally recognized communist directors in foreign cinema, such as Alberto Cavalcanti, Ren Clair, Sergei Eisenstein, Vsevolod Pudovkin, and Dziga Vertov. Then, G made a series of films in 1930, such as We Build and Zuid de Zee, about how the sea was reclaimed for agricultural purposes. In 1929, he went to the Soviet Union at the invitation of director Pudovkin to make a film about the new industrial city of Magnitogorsk. On his return, he completed the film The Song of the Heroes with music composed by Hans Eisler and released in 1932. Song of the Heroes is a film that provides extensive information about the new industrial city of Magnitogorsk, where workers and young communist masses worked during the first five-year plan of the Soviet Union. Returning to Europe, Ivens made a film about Belgian miners in 1934 called Poverty in the Borinage. After these processes, Joris Ivens spent his life traveling to 5 continents of the world and making many revolutionary films. The Moscow studio sent Ivens to the United States to produce more detailed works. Living in the United States between 1936 and 1945, Ivens made many films and documentaries about fascism during this period. The 1937 film Spanish World, written by Ernest Hemingway and John Dos Passos and shot by Ivens, prepared to support the Republicans in Spain, made a great impact during the war period. Thanks to the success of this film, Ivens was even invited to the White House at the invitation of President Franklin Roosevelt to attend dinner and film screenings. Shortly afterwards, the Dutch government sent Ivens to Indonesia to film the country's liberation from Imperial Japanese troops. After this trip, the United States government cancelled his US visa on the grounds that he had connections with communists. In 1946, his film Indonesia Calling, which dealt with the issues of multiculturalism and anti-imperialism, was released. He maintained relations with the Communist bloc and the Soviet Union in the post-World War II period and lived in Eastern Europe for about 10 years and worked with many studios. Its position on Indonesia and its siding with the Eastern Bloc in the Cold War has disturbed the Dutch government. For many years, he had to renew his passport every few months. Continuing to make films based on internationalist thought, Ivens made the films World Peace Will Win in 1951, Friendship Will Win and Warsaw-Berlin-Prague Peace Race in 1952, and Song of the Rivers in 1954. He moved to Paris in 1956 and continued making documentaries about Latin America, Africa, and China. He made 2 quality films about the Vietnam War between 1965-70, 17th Parallel, The Vietnam War and Far From Vietnam. The film 17th Parallel, The Vietnam War has a special significance. While the war in Vietnam was raging and the US was bombing North Vietnam, Ivens wanted to go to the 17th Parallel, the border region between the North and South, where the bombardment was most intense, with his wife Marceline Loredan Ivens, and shoot a film of the war there. The North Vietnamese authorities found this proposal too dangerous and did not allow it because they did not want to risk the lives of the Ivenses. But they insisted, and after meeting with his close friend, Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai, he was invited to dinner with North Vietnamese leader Ho Chi Minh to discuss the matter. Ho Chi Minh, known as Uncle Hu, is initially unconvinced, but then catches sight of the number tattooed on Ivens' wife's arm. Asks her if she was in a concentration camp. Ivens' wife replies, Auschwitz. Ho Chi Minh looks at Marceline Ivens for a while, then smiles and says, since you came out of there safe, you can come back from the 17th Parallel safe, you can go. That's how difficult the Ivenses filming in Vietnam was. As a result of his achievements, Joris Ivens was awarded the Lenin Peace Prize in 1967. He produced the documentary How the Yukon Moved the Mountains, a massive 763-minute production about the Cultural Revolution in China from 1971 to 1977. He was given extensive opportunities because of his old personal friendships with Chinese leader Mao Zedong and Chinese Foreign Minister Zhou Enlai. Ivens, whose work has attracted worldwide attention, conducted an extensive interview about his life and work with the Netherlands state radio station Radio Hollanda. In 1988, he was presented with the Golden Lion Honorary Award at the Venice Film Festival. Then, he was subsequently awarded the Order of the Netherlands Lion in 1989. Joris Ivens died on June 28, 1989 at the age of 90. A week before his death, on June 21, 1989, he was hospitalized after falling ill during a demonstration to protest the Tiananmen Square events in China. Shortly before his death, he released his last film, The Story of the Wind. In this film, which he shot in China, he presented the country's thousands of years of history, mythology, and extraordinary nature, starting from his childhood, intertwined with his own life story. It is a very original cinema masterpiece that combines different times and places shaped by documentary cinema techniques and imagination. At the end of the movie, we see Ivens waiting for the wind to blow in the middle of a vast desert, but the wind is not blowing and the 2 fans representing modernity are of no use. In the end, the magic and creativity of his art gives rise to a very powerful storm. He laughs and merges with the wind and light and heads towards infinity. Shortly after this film, Joris Ivens lost his life in exactly this way. Ivens is buried in a memorial cemetery in the Netherlands. Years after his death, a statue of him was erected in Paris in 2010. Ivens became close friends with many famous people around the world. Politicians like Roosevelt, Hollande, Castro, Zhou Enlai, Ho Chi Minh. Film masters such as Eisenstein, Pudovkin, Buñuel, Capra, Bertolucci, De Sica, Godard, Taviani brothers. Artists, writers and journalists such as Picasso, Brecht, Shostakovich, Ayla, Hemingway, Malraux, Dos Passos, Hellman and Gellhorn. He also met revolutionary figures from Turkey such as Nazım Hikmet and Olmaz Ginay and became close friends with some and close colleagues with others. Ivens documented almost all the major events, demolitions and mass demonstrations of the 20th century with his camera. With these actions, he became one of the greatest internationalist figures of the past century. Ivens has witnessed great hopes and successes, but also disappointments and the loss of beauty. He wrote in his autobiography, If the Flying Dutchman were to return to Leningrad in 1917, and there again now, he could only say to himself, this was a place where hope reached its highest point. Socialism was born here and flourished like a flower in the beginning. Now I see this flower being strangled by weeds. It's a sad observation. But should he stop his search for the absolute because of this? Should he despair of humanity and himself? No, it will continue. In this sense, I completely identify with him. In his book published in 1982, in which he recounted his own life, he used the following expressions. For me, the wind is the main current on which humanity moves forward, independent of minor currents such as empires, fascism, and failing civilizations. A current that I still believe is directed towards the better. We must start over for a new socialism and continue on our way. This belief will be a belief that internalizes and unites the previous ones that came to us from the East or West. The legacy left to us from previous generations is the wisdom of humanity seeking happiness and the philosophy of life. Yes, comrades, in this video I told you the brief life story of Joris Ivens, who is known for his internationalist identity and who has many struggles throughout his life. I hope it was useful for you. I publish many videos similar to what I have described here. Don't forget to subscribe to our Soviet Journey channel to follow these videos. Goodbye for now. We will be together again at other stations of the Soviet journey. Stay in solidarity.